Hello, welcome back. Per usual, I'm Jazz, aka Flirting with Pages. It's August already. I'm recording this August 1st. The year is going by really fast. Let's go ahead and just start talking about my July reads because the year is going by fast. I read 6 books this month and honestly, it was such a good reading month for me. A lot of these, I think it was like either 2 or 3 were actually 5-star reads, which is so freaking good. That feeling that you get when you read a 5-star read, absolutely happy. I read 2 5-star reads back to back. One of them actually did put me in a little tiny reading slump, but the second one, or technically the third one, did take me out of that reading slump. So that is very freaking fun. The first book I picked up this month was Twisted Love by Huang. Don't let the tabs fool you. I actually did not really like this book, and I mean, I kind of expected that. A lot of people have been hating the first book in the series, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to continue the series. I will be reading the next one because I did buy it, so I will be reading that one. Plus, I feel like that one will be better than this one. I didn't really like it. At the ending, it felt like it was getting more and more faster. The pacing wasn't there specifically in the ending, and that is what was killing me. Also, the writing kind of felt like off at a few points. So yeah, it's very sad though, because I really thought I was gonna like Twisted Love until I started, noticing more and more videos of people being like, oh, they really don't like the first book in the series, but the series does get better. So I am going to be taking everybody's word for it. And in case you haven't heard about Twisted Love, this one follows Alex and Ava. Ava lives next door to her brother Josh, and Josh just so happens to be leaving for a couple months, but he doesn't want Ava to be alone because he's afraid of what might happen to her. So he asks Alex to go ahead and move in and make sure everything is okay, just make sure she's doing all right overall. Ava and Alex do also have their own backstories. Each one is like unique in a way. Ava and her experiences have caused specific like phobias, which is why she can't really do anything. And like the more you read, she asks Alex to help her with her phobia. And then you have Alex. His background took me so off guard. I did not expect that, but at the same time I did expect the plot twist in the book. Both of them have very tragic backgrounds. It was very interesting. I did give this book a 3.5 stars. And in case anyone is wondering the tropes in the book, some of them were brother's best friend, kind of bodyguard romance, I think, kind of, not really, but kind of. Grumpy sunshine, one bed trope, revenge. There is revenge in this book. So if you're looking for revenge, there's revenge. And of course, the iconic I Hate Everybody But You. Honestly, I have been looking for a reason to read this book for a while, and I got to because I was actually buddy reading this with one of my friends, which is very fun, honestly. And yeah, the next 3 books were actually part of my reading vlog that I posted not too long ago. In case you want to watch my reading vlog, it will be in tagged in the little thingy. I have no clue how to say that, by the way. I picked up The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. It is book 1 in the Dreamland Billionaire series, and I have been trying to find a reason to pick this book up, but it kept getting pushed further and further and further in my TBR. So I decided to just go ahead and add it with these stacks for that one video, and I finally got to read it, and I absolutely do not regret that. Like, I tabbed so much. I don't know if you can see my tabs or anything at all, but I tabbed so much, and honestly, I freaking loved this book. This is also one of those books that has been everywhere. So it follows Rowan and Zara. Rowan's grandfather has actually just passed away. His grandfather left him and his other 2 brothers a set of rules that basically allows them to keep their percentage of the company that their grandfather has actually built. Rowan's one task is to become the director of Dreamland and basically just find out the weakness and stuff like that. That's how he meets Zara, and after a set of events, he actually just offers her dream freaking job. Of course, in this book, we still have some enemies to lovers. It is an office romance or workplace romance, and there is lots of forced proximity. I absolutely loved Lauren Asher's writing. I just freaking loved it. I was writing literally in almost every single page in this book. I don't know if you can see it. The last time I tried to do that, you could not see anything. So yeah, I did freaking love this book so much. I loved her writing. I loved the characters. I did actually hate Rowan at first, but after a while, he kind of grew on me. I can't wait to read the second book because his brother, I actually freaking hated him, and I want to see if the book is going to change my mind. That being said, this was the first book of the month that I rated a 5 stars, which is very freaking fun. Now, if you know me, you're going to be very surprised about this next book. You're going to be like, wow, Jasmine read fantasy for once? Technically not for once. This is like my second or third fantasy book of this year, and this is the most fantasy I've ever read in a year. But honestly, I really like the book. I finally freaking picked up The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. After a very long time of it sitting on my TBR shelf, I finally got to read it. Everybody was telling me to read it. Like on my comments, some of my mutuals, everybody was just telling me to read The Cruel Prince, and I thought it was officially time to pick it up. At first, I'm not going to lie, I was very freaking confused on what was going on or what the point of the book was. So I kind of had to like change gears into like full like fantasy. I did really like Holly Black's writing. My favorite part of this book is the ending. I know I have said this in so many videos, but I absolutely love the ending. Even like the little short story that's in the back. I will be getting the second book in this series because you know what, I want to continue this series. I want to go ahead and commit to this series. I rated it a 4 stars. It was entertaining. I actually really liked this book after finally being able to understand what was going on. Next, I picked up Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. I was kind of scared to get into this book because of how thick it was, but I finally read it. And honestly, once you start reading, you kind of forget how long it is, especially like if you really get sucked into it, because I know some people don't really vibe with this book, and that's like understandable. It's not meant for everybody. But if you really like books like these, I feel like you're just going to get lost in it and you won't even realize that it's almost 560 pages basically. This one follows Naomi. She is currently a runaway bride and she's heading straight for Knockemout, Virginia, which is where her twin lives. They really aren't that close anymore, but her twin did text her saying that she needed some help, so Naomi rushed over and she was willing to help her. And as soon as she gets there, her sister actually like steals all of her stuff and leaves her with her 11-year-old daughter. So now Naomi is stuck taking care of her niece with no phone, no car, no wallet, nothing. She runs into Knox. They do not get along at first, but after a while Knox just really becomes, I don't want to say obsessed, like possessive over not only Naomi but also Waylay, which is her niece. And Knox just wants to honestly take care of them and make sure they're doing all right. He finds them a place they can stay for a while until they get back on their feet. That's where the story starts. It was like a very good yet chaotic book, and I mean chaotic in a good way, because there are books that can be like chaotic and they're not good at all. This one was chaotic but good. It was giving very much hardcore Wattpad writing, and if you're into that, that's amazing. You're going to freaking love this book. It was just a very fun and entertaining read. As for tropes, this one does have a lot. The main one is enemies to lovers, but there is a long freaking list that I'm about to read out to you. We have, of course, small town romance. There is some fake dating involved, forced proximity, grumpy sunshine, workplace romance, technically single parent if you kind of get the vibe, runaway bride, hopeless romantic that is constantly mentioned in here, and last but not least, some good old bad boy and good girl vibes. So if any of those tropes call out to you, definitely read this book. It is part of the Knockemout series. This is the first book. I am going to try and get the next book. Don't know when. I have realized that this month I have started nothing but a bunch of series. Literally the last 3 books and then this one, so the last 4 books, I have started a first book in every series. And now I have to make sure I go and buy the second book for all of these. Well, I mean, I already have the second book for this one, but now I have to go and get the second book for the rest of these. I'm starting a lot of series. I need to chill out. I also picked up Some of It Was Real by Fischer, and this one actually follows Sylvie, which is a psychic. She's about to get really, really famous and blow up, but at one of her shows, Thomas shows up, and he is a very cynical journalist that is trying to basically not only take down her career, but this is also his one shot at getting his career back on track. The tone was like very mysterious yet sad, kind of nostalgic at the same time. Also, the writing was kind of like poetic, like almost there but not fully poetic. This is a women's fiction book, and I really liked where the story went. The whole entire concept of the story, a whole entire journalist trying to take down a psychic. He doesn't believe she's real, and because of his past, he really thinks that she's just trying to get people's money, when her whole entire life she's been trying to figure out why she has this, where she's come from. This book helps her find out parts of her that she didn't even know existed. I really like that concept, how she wrote this story. It has been sitting on my TBR shelf for quite a while. This is another one of those books that has just been sitting there for a really long time. So I am very glad that I finally got to pick this up. My sister did tell me, how come you didn't pick it up like sometime during the fall? Because it did have those like kind of thriller-esque vibe to it. It also was very like kind of paranormal, and I don't know, it was on my TBR for last fall, and I never picked it up, and I just saw it and I was like, you know what, forget it, let's just go ahead and start this book. I really freaking love this book. I did rate it a 5 stars. Writing, it was just the writing. I love the characters. Thomas did make me want to punch him every now and then, but which male main character never makes you want to punch him? Like, come on. One of the main characters always makes you want to punch them in the face. Even though this is women's fiction, it does have a little bit of romance in it. Some of the tropes are forced proximity, one bed, and of course there's paranormal and thriller plots and points in this book. The main trope is enemies to lovers. Most of the books I read are always enemies to lovers, so of course, yes, enemies to lovers. It is dual point of view, in case you guys were wondering. A good majority of these books are actually dual POV, except the Cruel Prince. That one's the only one that's not. And also the next one that I'm about to talk about. But yeah, I really freaking love this book, and I'm glad I finally got to read it. I am one of those readers that loves choosing a favorite book of the month, and honestly for the month of July I had 2 favorites and I could not pick. Of course, it was Some of It Was Real, but the other one was The 7-Year Slip, and honestly I'm going to give the win to The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I absolutely adored this book. I loved everything, how she wrote it, literally everything. I just freaking love this book. This book was actually getting me out of a reading slump, so it did take me quite a while to finish it. I know a lot of people are saying that this is a romance book, but I actually consider this women's fiction because it focuses more on the main character's grief and how she's getting through everything, how she's accepting her aunt's death, and just coming to terms with her and her life, especially at the age of 30, stepping back and just asking herself if she really likes where she's at in this point of her life or if she wants something different. This one follows Clementine. Her aunt has passed away and she has left the apartment for Clementine to basically stay. Clementine just has a love-hate relationship with this apartment, specifically because of her aunt and everything that has happened. But the apartment does have a secret, kind of like a little gift. Her aunt has told her this her whole entire childhood, basically. After a while, Clementine didn't really believe her because it never happened. She never got to see anyone until she finally goes in one day and she is 7 years in the past and she meets Iwan. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right. If I'm saying that wrong, please do not make fun of me. Please. I really loved the concept of the book, the whole entire 7 years in the past, but she's 7 years in the future, and she's wondering if they still have a chance while also trying to find herself and everything. I really loved it, and I really loved how she ended the book. It was very cute, specifically like the little Met scene. I really loved it. The amount of character growth in this, I also loved that. Specifically like Clementine, even through a little tiny portion of weeks, and then I went in the portion of those 7 years. There were also some references to the Dead Romantics, which I was very happy to see. I gave it a 5 stars, and I actually forgot to mention, but the tropes in this book are same place, different time, the one that just says on the back. I just put that. I have no clue how to describe it or if it has a name, but I'm just saying same place, different time. You know what I mean. Kind of like wrong person, or no, right person, wrong time. Wait, is that what it is? You know what I mean. Time travel, technically, magical realism, and there are a lot of food references, so if you really love that, yes. It does have Second Chance to it, so I absolutely love Second Chance. It's one of my favorite freaking tropes. I also would kind of classify this as friends to lovers, but yeah, I know I've said this like 50 times, but I love this book. Absolutely loved it. Those were all of the books that I read last month, and honestly, I don't regret reading any of them, even Twisted Love. It was such a fun reading month. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow all my socials if you want to, and go ahead and comment what you read this month, what you thought of the books that I read. Are you happy that I finally read The Cruel Prince? I know a lot of people are finally happy that I read The Cruel Prince. But yeah, go ahead and comment anything that you want. Once again, thank you so much for watching. That's basically it.